Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we have an opportunity to still have some discussions today. We're going to be interactive, and of course, we have other programs today. After the class, there'll be some other programs, so try to be on schedule and make it brief so that programs can go on. So today we be examining the perception of knowledge and nations. We're reading from the Bhagavad Gita, as it is, chapter 15, text 15. Chapter 15, text 15. Says, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Read from the Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 15, text 15. The yoga of the supreme person. So I'll read the Sanskrit text and the translation. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivisto.
Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivisto.
Madasmriti jnanam apohanam cha.
Matasmriti jnanam apohanam cha.
Vedaicha sarvamaham vividyo.
Vedaicha sarvairaham vividyo. Vedanta krit veda vid eva chaham.
Translation and purport by Divine Grace is come from Acharya Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.
Jai.
Translation: I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. The Supreme Lord is situated as Paramatma in everyone's heart, and it is from Him that all activities are initiated. The living entity forgets everything of his past life, but he has to act according to the direction of the Supreme Lord, who is witness to all his work. Therefore, he begins his work according to his past deeds. Required knowledge is supplied to him, and remembrance is given to him, and he forgets also about his past life. Thus, the Lord is not only all-pervading, he is also localized in every individual heart. He awards the different fruity results. He is watchful not only as the impersonal Brahman, the supreme personality of Godhead, and the localized Brahman, but as the form of the incarnation of the Vedas as well. The Vedas give the right direction to people so that they can properly mold their lives and come back to Godhead, back to home. The Vedas offer knowledge of the supreme personality of God Krishna, and Krishna in his incarnation as Vyasadeva is a compiler of the Vedanta Sutra. The commentation on the Vedanta Sutra by Vyasadeva in the Srimad Bhagavatam gives the real understanding of Vedanta Sutra. The Supreme Lord is so full that for the deliverance of the conditioned soul, He is the supplier and digester of foodstuff, the witness of His activity, and the giver of knowledge in the form of the Vedas, and as the Supreme Personality of God, Sri Krishna, the teacher of Bhagavad Gita. He is worshipable by the conditioned soul. Thus, God is all good. God is all merciful. Anta pravishta shasta Jnanam. The living entity forgets as soon as he quits his present body, but he begins his work again initiated by the Supreme Lord. Although he forgets, the Lord gives him the intelligence to renew his work where he ended his last life. So not only does the living entity enjoy or suffer in this world according to the dictation of the Supreme Lord, situated locally in the heart, but he receives the opportunity to understand the Vedas from him. If one is serious about understanding the Vedic knowledge, then Krishna gives the required intelligence. Why does he present the Vedic knowledge for understanding? Because the living entity individually needs to understand Krishna. Vedic literature confirms this. Yosau, Sarvai, Vedai, Yate, in all Vedic literature, beginning from the four Vedas, Vedanta, Sutra, and the Upanishads, and Puranas, the glories of the Supreme Lord are celebrated. By performance of Vedic rituals, discussion of Vedic philosophy and worship of the Lord in devotional service is attained. Therefore, the purpose of the Vedas is to understand Krishna. The Vedas give us direction by which to understand Krishna and the process of realizing Him. The ultimate goal is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vedanta Sutra 114 confirms this in the following words. Tattva Saman Vayat. One can attain perfection in three stages. By understanding Vedic literature, one can understand his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By performing the different processes, one can approach him. At the end, one can attain the Supreme Goal, who is no other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this verse, the purpose of the Vedas, the understanding of the Vedas, and the goal of the Vedas are clearly defined. Shri Chaitanya Manovishnam Savitam Jena Bhutale Swarupam Brahmayam Dadati Swatan Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabhandu Jagapate Gopishar Ugraham Namaste Dr. Kanchana Gurangi Radhe Vrindavadishwari Vishwamanuste Devi Pranamami Harite Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodito Radha Pushpavan Pujato Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaurabhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this text reads, I'm seated in everyone's heart, and for me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas are to be known, indeed, I'm a compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of Vedas. So, two things are there. One is knowledge, and the other one is nations. And then it's time to be like opposite direction. Srila Upanishad also explains that in the 10th mantra of Upanishad. The wise know that one result is derived by cultural knowledge, and yet another result is obtained by the culture of nations. A different result is obtained by the culture of nations. In a sense that they are going two different directions, and they could be properly understood by the results they give. You know, it's difficult to understand exactly what constitutes knowledge and nations. Let's go and see the effect of that. Presently, we are so much confused as to what knowledge is and what nations is. Sometimes nations is considered to be knowledge, and knowledge considered to be nations. So this is a problem that had to be properly defined. Knowledge leads to liberation, and then nations is a part of bondage, suffering, miseries, conditioning. That is the effect of nations or ignorance. Whereas knowledge leads one to liberation, freedom, happiness, and satisfaction. So in this time, we'll be able to see what constitutes knowledge and what is ignorance or nations. In the modern times, we see that we are all engaged in different endeavors of knowledge. And because of this, so many institutions are being built. And everyone is pursuing knowledge, suddenly, in the various fields of endeavor. But let us examine the effect of this knowledge. Whereby people engage in sciences and arts, philosophy, and all that, humanities. What is the effect of this knowledge that we're getting? So, in the material world, we are endeavoring to attain freedom, to attain happiness. Everybody is endeavoring for this. Different fields, both in sciences and arts and all that. The goal is to attain freedom and happiness. And therefore, civilization has sprung up based on this knowledge. We have built cities, we have built skyscrapers, we have built machines, we have built airplanes, and so many things, with the aim of trying to become free and try to become happy in that sense. But for a long time, this culture has been followed, and we can sincerely examine and say, are we really achieving this aim of being happy and being free from the clutches of the modes of material nature, from the sufferings of this material existence? Are we achieving that? We may do things a little bit better than previously, but the laws of material nature is so stringent, so severe, that if it gives you a leverage in one aspect, 1%, and then it adds to the difficulties of 10%. That is how the laws of the material world works. All these are all mentioned in the scriptures, but it's difficult for us to really see the scriptures in terms of the present happenings, because we've seen the scriptures as things of the past and things that don't connect to the present. Prabhupada explains this, that if you make an endeavor to solve material problem with a material solution, then 10 times the problems will arise. That is how it works. It is the law. It's just like trying to sift muddy water with mud. It never gets clean. So material knowledge in this science simply means trying to understand things within this universe, within the modes of material nature. That's what it is. The three modes of material nature, we are struggling with it and managing and trying to understand it and studying it and trying to get free from the clutches of material nature. But we are going in the wrong direction. That is not the path to freedom. We manufacture so many things. For instance, we have manufactured cars. We can move very, very fast. Okay. What is the use of this? Even though we have to go so fast, we now have to talk about the gas, how to talk about the steel to manufacture, how to talk about so many things, how to even enslave so many people in order to achieve these things. So many people suffer all over the world. So many wars have been engaged in this war because of these resources. to get gas, how to get fuel, how to get these resources from various nations. Wars are being waged. People suffer in different ways. These are all small effects of trying to achieve little things. So we are not being satisfied. We are not happy in the present dispensation. We are not really happy. We cannot say we're happier than our forefathers. We can't say that in honesty. Even though we have progressed, we have done so many wonderful things. So this is the culture of nations. The culture of nations. But only a person who studies to try to understand this process of knowledge, nations, and the process of transcendental knowledge can actually transcend the effect of repeated birth and death. The Spanish side also explains this, the 11th mantra of the Spanish side. If one had to study both knowledge and nations side by side, then one can transcend the process of repeated birth and death. Because one cannot really understand nations unless one is on the path of transcendental knowledge. It is by measuring it with transcendental knowledge that you can understand what actually constitutes nations or ignorance. You can't measure it. So what is transcendental knowledge? Transcendental knowledge has to deal with knowledge of the truth. And what is the truth? The truth is the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead. Sri Krishna. One has to study, try to understand who Sri Krishna is. Try to understand how his energies are also working by his direction. One should also understand who we are. But in most cases, we just take birth in this material world and immediately start acting. Start engaging in activities, acting. We're not trying to understand even where are we? Where are we taking birth? Where am I situated? This world, what is the nature of this world? Who am I? Where have I come from? What is the purpose of this existence? What is the purpose of my staying here? Nobody finds this because of bad system of education. We have a very bad system of education whereby from the beginning we're being taught how to increase and maximize sense gratification. So nobody talks about transcendental knowledge, how to cultivate the understanding of the soul, understanding of the spiritual realities. From the beginning, we think we are this body. Nobody tells us that we are not these bodies. So we have a very bad system of education, and this system of education produces, grossly materialistic people who are miserable in their endeavor to try to be happy. So we struggle so much to be happy, at the end we become so miserable because we are misplacing the position of the self. Everybody is working for a self-interest in this material world. But working on self-interest based on our understanding of what a self is. That is it. It is the right thing. We should work for our self-interest. The purpose of life is to be happy, is to enjoy life, yes. But the interest of this self is directed to what our knowledge of the self is. For instance, if we think that our self, we are the body, then our interest will be based on how to glorify this body, how to maximize the pleasure of this body. Then if we think the interest of the self is the mind and our subtle nature, then we begin to work on how to expand our influence in the society through philosophy, through socialism and all that. Until we understand that we are neither the gross or subtle bodies, or we are spiritual entities, then we can begin to think about what the interest of the self is. And what is this self? What is this soul when we talk about the spiritual entity? The soul or the spiritual entity is simply part of Krishna. It's just part of Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is most dear to us. And if we want our self-interest, then how to walk to please the self, the soul, which is part of Krishna. And pleasing the soul means acting to please Krishna. So, if we think that our self is the physical body, and in this physical body, by nature, it is programmed. It is programmed. It is configured in such a way that it has limitations. It has limitations. It has certain level of conditioning which is inbuilt in this physical body. Therefore, it can never be happier than what it is programmed for. And that is the cause of our frustration in this, especially in this modern time. We really want to enjoy, by all means, but we are frustrated because we are limited in our capacity to enjoy. You know, like somebody who wants, who is so thirsty, and then is given a drop of water. You don't have all the desire to enjoy. We have limitations. Other than we may not afford the objects of our sense enjoyment based on our limitations, or that even if the objects of sense enjoyment is available, our senses are so limited that we can't even enjoy it. So it's so frustrating. Just think about it. And this is creating lots and lots of conflicts, both within and without, amongst individuals. We desire to enjoy, yes. For instance, you want to eat nice food, very palatable food. Either you can't afford the meal, you can't afford the recipes, you are limited, you don't have money to be able to afford it. Then you suffer like that. Or that you have so much money and you can buy all the things you want to eat. But how much can you eat? How much can you eat? If you eat more, if you eat so much, you are in trouble. You get so much pain. You eat so much. So this frustration can be eliminated by understanding our higher nature, our higher existence, our spiritual existence. Because the living entity, the soul, has far, far more capacity to enjoy than the physical and mental aspect of our existence. And so it's so frustrating, just like you're looking at something, you can't even enjoy it. You can't even enjoy it. We're looking for an ocean of happiness, and we can only afford very little in this material existence. So like that, we suffer in that sense. So material happiness is so limited and so frustrating. The Bhagavad Gita explains that a wise man should not take pride in the sources of misery. Why is it called sources of misery? To be in contact with the material sense and sense objects, sense gratification. It's called the sources of misery. Even though we think that that is how we can be happy. But these are called sources of misery. So the whole material world is more or less in the mode of passion, trying to increase material happiness in the mode of passion. And the more we increase this, the more we suffer. That is it. So knowledge must be given. And therefore, we should make inquiries as to how to eliminate these miserable conditions, how to eliminate it. And that is only found in association with devotees or devotional service. Other things so frustrating and so limited, and that one cannot really but suffer, cannot help but suffer with much resistance. So, Lord Krishna is saying is seated in everyone's heart. The super soul, and is the source of knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So what do we want to remember? What do we want to forget? If you make some decision, what do we want to remember and what do we want to forget? Krishna will help us. Krishna will help us. But directly or indirectly, we are desiring to forget Krishna. I want to remember sense gratification. And Krishna is giving us. But doesn't guarantee us success or happiness. He's giving us whatever. And they have been fulfilling our desires since time immemorial. But Krishna has been giving us everything. The living entity is actually devoid of potency. He has no potency to be able to help himself. The living entity has no potency. Even if he desires to achieve something, he requires the help of Krishna to achieve that. So what do we want to remember? What do we want to forget? So devotional service, the part of devotional service help us to understand that we should begin to desire to remember Krishna. And the process of devotional service helps us to constantly remember Krishna, especially by hearing and chanting Krishna's names and pastimes, activities. That is how we cultivate the part of remembering Krishna. And then if we do this, Krishna is extremely willing to help us remember him than we are. And then if we remember Krishna more, gradually begin to forget other things. This is my two words. And we will cultivate this knowledge of remembering Krishna. Then even at the time of death, we will remember him also. Because sometimes we take it for granted, thinking that just at the time of death, we will remember Krishna because we are devotees. It is not like that. Because we are devotees, because we are chanting Hare Krishna, we are in the temple, following the path of devotional service, at the time of death, we remember Krishna. It's not like that. Let us examine ourselves. Let us, evaluate ourselves and our own situation. Do we still have anything very dear to us in this material world? Is anything dear to us? Anything at all? If there is something that is dear to you, Krishna will allow you to come back to achieve that. Do not act against your will and your desires. If there are certain things we still have very dear to us in this material world, we will certainly come back. Something that's very, very dear to us. So the taste we have in this material world, or in sense enjoyment, it is our real enemy. The taste we have in this world. If there's anything we still gives us pleasure in this material world, that means we're not really ready to go back home. Just being a devotee of Krishna. No. How to come to a point whereby we completely lost our interest in anything in this material world. Our whole interest goes to Krishna. And if our whole interest goes to Krishna, then Krishna allows us to come back home. To allow us to remember him even at the time of death. So when we come to programs, come to lectures, we should try to get something that we want to practice. We want to practice as a devotional life. We should not just be taking classes for sense gratification. Sometimes classes you can take it for sense gratification. Even though it's Krishna, even though we're reading from Bhagavad Gita, but you can't sense gratification. I want to hear from so many sadhus. I want to hear from so many sannyasis. I want to hear from so many masters. We're interested in doing this. But we're not thinking, what do I have to gain? Even in one aspect. It also requires so much hearing. That is why the scripture explains that we should not just be interested in reading so many books or hearing from so many personalities. No. We should get the clues we can use to deepen our spiritual life, to deepen our participation in spiritual life, our practices. These are practices are the things that open up. The things are not external. Spiritual life is not external thing. You don't get it from external sources. You're just simply given a hint, some hints to be able to get in touch with the Supreme Personality of God within. Krishna reveals everything. The soul is part of Krishna. Krishna also is within us. Therefore, Krishna gives us everything from within. If we really make proper contact, if we really make proper endeavor, Krishna opens up from within and then he enlightens us. It's not just like, talking what this Swami has said, that personality has said, or what the scripture has said. What have you said? You. After hearing all the sadhus and hearing the scriptures, what is your conclusion? What have you said? Until you come to a point whereby, by your own evaluation, by your own sayings, what you say, even though you don't quote the scriptures, will be in line with the scriptures. That is your conclusion. That is your conviction. That is what you want to really do as in your life. Not just making some references of what this person said, what the scripture says. What have you said? What did you say about these things? So spiritual life is a thing that one has to deepen one's practices, one's cultivation, one's determination, one's eagerness, one's greed, one's desperation to actually have the mercy of Krishna. If not, you can just go on the same system. Every day will come to program, Sunday will come to program, do the same usual things, and we'll go practice like that for many, many lifetimes. Many lifetimes. The difference between ourselves and the pure devotees or the spiritual masters is not. The difference is that they are in touch with the Super. The instructions they give you, where do they get it from? Krishna gives them. Krishna can also give you. So why not practice? Why not petition Krishna? Why not, be eager to receive Krishna's mercy? And Krishna also gives you enlightenment from within. The same. Krishna is the actual spiritual master. So the mention here is in the heart of everyone. It's in the heart of everyone. The person who is giving you instructions, giving you directions. Krishna is in his heart. It is from Krishna that he gets direction to direct you. So one has to practice in such a way that you also come in contact with this person. That's what the Bhagavad Gita says. One who overcomes the mind, the super soul is already reached. And in the process of devotional service, following the rules and regulations, all these things is to help you overcome the mind. We're able to transcend the mind, the influence of the mind and the senses, then the super soul is there. And it can direct you how to engage in your devotional service, how to come back to God. Krishna is there. Krishna is always available. Always available, but we are not willing. Because we are not willing, what can you do? Krishna simply leave us. That's okay. I'm still here, I'm waiting. There's no shortage of time. Anytime you're ready, whatever lifetime you're ready, I'm there. Krishna says. So, Krishna consciousness process is a means to actually taste real happiness. To taste real happiness. It's not just a philosophical movement. It's not a philosophical movement. It is a process of reviving our happy situation, happy life. So a devotee who is miserable is not a devotee. A devotee can never be miserable. What I worship. Sometimes the day wakes in devotional life and you feel, another day. It's so bad. Think of services you want to do, think of so many engagements what you have to do, and you feel so bad. When everyone begins to feel like that, you are in trouble in spiritual life. You should be excited every day. When you wake up, you become excited. Oh, another opportunity, another time to actually serve, to chant Hare Krishna, to do so many things in the service of Krishna. And then your enthusiasm will increase. Your happiness will increase. That is there. That's what Krishna consciousness is all about. Even though to be miserable, to the extent that, we run away from the association of devotees. Because of this, it becomes so miserable that, you feel so threatened even in the presence of devotees. That's why some people become so tired, they go away. It comes gradually. So Krishna consciousness enables us to be happy in spiritual life. When you remove all the obstacles, remove all the anarthas, gradually then it will be a happy situation. That's what Krishna consciousness is. To be happy. And at the point, even the process of knowledge will end, will cease. Initially, one had to check the influence of Maya by transcendental knowledge, by understanding what the scripture says, by reading the scriptures, by hearing from the sadhus and all that. This knowledge checks the influence of Maya, checks away. But as time goes on, when one becomes very purified, even this process of knowledge will cease. One actually revives his actual spiritual transcendental life. Just like fire extinguishes when the fuel is burnt off. The fuel is the unwanted things, the anarthas. When it's burnt, completely burnt off, then the fire extinguishes. So when we are free from anarthas, free from all the misconceptions of life, even the process of trying to check the influence of Maya through transcendental knowledge also will cease. One acts naturally in his spiritual state. And then that natural activity conforms with the scriptural injunctions, not that it contradicts it. That's the position of transcendental existence. So, knowledge and nations, they give two different results. Nations give us miseries, pain, bondage. Knowledge gives us liberation, happiness, freedom. So, material knowledge gives us pain, misery, bondage, because deals the most of material nature. Most of material nature, they act in three ways: in goodness, in passion, and ignorance. And Lord Krishna told Arjuna, you must rise above the Vedas, but they deal with the three modes of material nature. So we'll give some time for interactions so that we don't exceed the time allotted. Please, you have comments, questions? Please, from the time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the interesting class, Prabhu. So you made an interesting point that just because we are practicing Krishna consciousness, it doesn't necessarily mean that we would remember Krishna at the time of death if we have some second interest still remaining. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 8.6 that whenever a state one remembers a death, one will attain that state subsequently. And here in this verse, that is the verse that you gave the class, he says that he is in charge of what one remembers and what one forgets. So if he's the one who is in charge, then how is that? How is it that it's based on what it's his direction rather than our own?
Yes. Lord Krishna is just like a movie director. If you're watching a movie, you can only see what the movie director wants you to see, not otherwise. No matter how you strain yourself watching the screen, you will not see what the movie director doesn't want you to see, what they didn't show you. So Krishna is completely independent, it's within the heart. And he allows us to remember what he wants us to remember. And then what he wants us to remember also depends on the subtle nature of our desires. Subtle nature of desire. Because Krishna is very merciful. You know, he doesn't want the situation whereby you come back home to God and you say, oh, I forgot something. There's something I forgot. He doesn't want that. So he allows you to exhaust everything you want in this material world. So if there are certain things, you know, subconsciously one still desires to do in this material world, he allows you to come back. Allows the person to come back. That is also his mercy, because he wants us to be happy. And whichever way we think that we want to be happy, it gives us the chance to try and see if we can be happy that way. Or to completely exhaust our desires, then you allow us to invite the time of death. Because in most cases, we may be devotees, but there are so many things we're so much in love with that are dear to us. Is right deep down in our consciousness, so much dear to us. And then Krishna will allow us to exhaust it by giving us chances. So that is also to let us know that it's not based on our own choice to remember a particular thing at the time of death. Not within our power to say, okay, I will remember this kind of thing at the time of death. No. Krishna is the heart. There are so many examples also. The devotees are so many examples of a person who was planning to remember Krishna's name at the time of death. Just like Ajami remembered Krishna's name at the time. But at the time of death, he remembered something else. Even though he made all the arrangements, all the plans, he remembered something else at the time of death. So we cannot cheat Krishna because Krishna is in and out of us. We can't cheat him. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
No, thank you very much for your explanation to this very case. It's very deep, and the explanation is really touching, and it's very graphic also. Practically, we see it every day, and we don't pay attention. People go to college to learn a particular subject, and at the end of the day, of his lessons, he becomes a graduate. And that very field, that very choice that he chose to learn, he masters it, and that becomes part of him. Like one take a doctorate course, he becomes a doctor, and he can actually act as a doctor and heal people because of that acquiring knowledge. One takes to a mechanical course, becomes a good mechanic. He may be totally ignorant about mechanism, right? Because he has learned practically, he can demonstrate and become a very good engineer. You can go on and on like that. But you don't pay attention. So your explanation, I say, is very deep and very profound. We try to practice this devotional service. And like you said, we come for class to learn. The idea is to learn and take something out of this, what we are studying, and revive it. But it looks like we come every day, every year, year after year, and we are still the same. So does that mean that we are not actually learning? We are not practicing? And that's why we are not growing. Because we are actually practicing, like people go to college and come out with a degree and they can act according to what they've learned. Why are we hearing this every day and we are still the same? That is the number one. And two is that where does the costless mercy comes in? Because we are willing, we have a desire to learn these things, and it's still difficult. It's still difficult for us to practice. So when we talk about the costless desire, where does the costless desire chip in our lives in the devotional service? And like Matali asked a question, and at the point of death, whatever, and by what you said, whatever we are attached to is what we're going to remember. We don't have choice as to what to remember at the point of death. But the same Lord in the heart will remind us to remember what we are attached to, and we're definitely going to remember that. So where is the costless mercy come in this situation?
Yeah, the costless mercy is costless in the sense that Krishna is supremely free and independent to, to choose what he wants to do, to bless who he wishes to bless, and to deny who he wishes to deny. That is his prerogative. He's completely free to do that. But what have we done to get the scriptures? What input have we made to get the scriptures? What input have we made to get the association of Vaishnavas? What input do we have made to get the deities? What input have we made to get the prasada? So many avenues. Krishna has given us lots and lots of facilities, which are causeless mercy of Krishna. You know, so much facility to come to Him. He's given us His holy name. He's given us association of devotees. He's given us everything. Everything. Not there's no scarcity of Krishna's mercy. There's no scarcity at all. The only scarce thing is our willingness to surrender to Krishna. Therefore, this process of sadhana and all that is learning how to surrender to Krishna, the surrendering process to Krishna. So that is the causeless mercy of Krishna. Krishna has given us everything. Given us the Guru, given us Prasad, given us the holy name, given us the scriptures, given us practically everything, given us holy places. Even by unknowingly visiting those places, you get so much blessings and all that. So many things Krishna has given us. This is his causeless mercy because we didn't contribute anything to these things. It is his causeless mercy. It's not that Krishna randomly blesses people. No, Krishna doesn't randomly blesses people. He observes the subtle movements of everyone's being, and then he'll be able to know how to help them in different ways. If not, if the costless is free, also in that sense, then everybody you should close the mature world and send us back home to God, all of us. Send us back home to God and close the mature chapter. Even if we send us back to God and close the mature chapter, from there, as people will say, no, I didn't want to stay here. I want to stay this place. I like this place. So that is Krishna's mercy. He allows us to express our free will and express our individual desires and aspirations. Not against our will, and it takes us back. So that is Krishna's causeless mercy in giving us all the facilities to come back on board to God.
So Krishna is giving us everything, but he never touches our free will.
Not that Yes, mother. By the mercy of Krishna, one gets the Guru. Huh?
Repeat the question.
Explain the verse, Yasya Prasad, Bhagavad Prasad, Yasya Prasad. By the mercy of the Guru, one gets Krishna. It's mentioned that if one comes in contact with the pure devotee of the Lord, you already gotten the mercy of Krishna. That's costless. You got the mercy of Krishna because not everybody can come in contact with the pure devotee of the Lord. That is the costless mercy of Krishna. And then, by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, the one can really attain Krishna. And how does one get the mercy of Guru? By trying to please him. Pleasing him means acting in Krishna consciousness. Because Guru's desire is that we become Krishna conscious. And that is what he teaches us, to try to become fully Krishna conscious. So when one is endeavoring to please Guru, he will be giving up, simultaneously giving up all his bad anarthas, all his anarthas. Because it's difficult to please Guru. Difficult to please Guru. One can fully please Guru when one becomes completely free from, material desires or material anantas. One pleases Guru. One may render all kinds of services to the Guru, do so many things. But Guru is always asking, what about the ones who keep him behind? That's what he's so much interested in, the ones who keep him behind. But not so much for the Guru, but what of the ones who keep behind? He doesn't want us to keep some anatta behind. So the more we give up anatta, the more we please Guru. And ultimately, when we completely surrender to Krishna, to Guru and Krishna, then Guru becomes completely pleased. And now we choose Krishna. So Guru and Krishna, they are the same person, same thing. Krishna is acting to the Guru. Krishna is the actual Guru. And then his pure devotees acting on his behalf. And therefore, one should not see the Guru and Krishna like two different personalities. Krishna is acting to the Guru. So by pleasing Guru, one is actually trying to please Krishna, pleasing Krishna.
Your spiritual master, he said, at the time of death, I will come and I will beg Krishna. That's the power of a pure devotee. Even if you don't get it perfectly right, then he, on your behalf, will ask Krishna to allow you to spiritual.
Yes, that is also correct, because in the real sense of it, no one can get it perfectly correct. No one can get it perfectly correct. But what Guru mostly demands is our surrendering ability. If we are totally surrendered to Krishna, doesn't mean that the most of our true nature may not act. We are totally surrendered to Guru and Krishna. Krishna takes us back on to God, to the spiritual master. We're not expecting to, after what is perfection in this material world? What is the perfection? Who can be fully perfect in activities in the material world? No. But our mind, if we give our mind and senses to Krishna, to Guru and Krishna, then those things will take us back to God. Krishna and Guru will arrange for us to come back to God. So it's not that how do we evaluate our perfection? You can't evaluate our perfection in this material world. You can't evaluate it. It is Guru and Krishna actually can evaluate it and take us back to God. But we have to do the needful. Just like what's the 10th offense in chanting the holy name? The 10th offense.
Maintain material attachments even after
understanding
so many instructions upon
these matters. So if one is still maintaining some offense in the matter of chanting, it's difficult to ignore it, it's not going anywhere. So this is what we're talking about. Maintaining some material attachment even after understanding so many instructions. That means we have understood, not that we didn't know, we have understood certain things, but still we can't let go. So our ability to surrender to Krishna and Krishna's Guru, that is actually what helps us to do that. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
His Grace Chanakya Pandit Prabhu ki
Jai.